on page 17, we're gonna finish out page 17. So yesterday we were looking at corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive interior, which is same side interior or no relationship. So if I'm looking at that picture, we left off at 1 and 3. What kind of angle pair are 1 and 3? They're corresponding.
What are you talking about? What's that mean?
Okay. Then 1 and 11, are they on the same transversal? Are 1 and 11 on the same transversal? No, they're not on the same transversal. If they're not on the same transversal, they cannot have a relationship. Okay, then 8 and 15,
Same side. Interior.
same side interior. They're on the same side of the line, inside the parallel line. Okay, 7 and 13,
No relationship.
no relationship. And then 1 and 14,
Adjacent exterior.
alternate
Oh,
exterior.
yeah,
look at.
My bad. I didn't even say nothing to you. You didn't mean to do that.
That was kind of rude.
Yeah, I tried to back you up.
Was it?
I tried to back you up, you know what you did? You died.
Probably for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, she thought you stunk. Who you talking to?
I go back to the please. I go cry.
Okay, come back with your zero. I'm gonna be very.
So on page 18, it gives you pictures and it wants you to match. So if I'm looking at the picture on A, what kind of pair are those? It's on a straight line, 2 angles touching in the form of straight line are a linear pair. So number 5 would be A. That is a linear pair. If I'm looking at B, they're on the same side, but one's inside, one's outside. So what would that angle pair be? It's one of these 5.
Would it be corresponding angles?
Yes, it will be corresponding angles. So number 10 is B. Okay, on C, there's 2 angles that form a right angle, so form a 90-degree angle, or what kind of angles?
Complement.
Complementary. So C goes on number 3. So D, we have parallel lines, so it's gonna be one of those last 5. Okay, it's gonna be alternate interior, exterior, alternate exterior, because on opposite sides of the transversal and they're outside. So that is alternate exterior, so D goes on 7. And what about E? Alternate interior. They're on opposite sides of the parallel lines, but they are inside. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, inside the parallel line. Sorry, I said that wrong. So number 6 is E. Okay, F, there's no parallel lines, so it's gotta be one of the top 5.
Vertical.
They are vertical because they're opposite each other. So F goes on number 1. Okay, G, they're not parallel lines, so it can't be 8 or 9, so it's gotta be 2 or 4. Are
Two,
those adjacent or supplementary?
adjacent,
They're adjacent. So G goes on number 2. So H is parallel line, so it's either gonna be consecutive interior, consecutive exterior. Remember, that's the same as same side interior, same side exterior. So are those inside the parallel lines or outside the parallel lines? Inside, so they're same side interior. So H is number 8. So what would I be?
four, exterior.
Same side exterior. So number 9 is I. And then we have two angles, 129 and 51. Those two would add to equal 180. So those are supplementary angles. So number 4 is J. So it should go F, G, C, J, A, E, B, H, I, B. Okay. On the next page, we're gonna look at parallel lines and their angle measures. So, if I'm looking at two parallel lines, so when two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, they create 8 angles. So if you notice, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 angles that are created by two parallel lines and one transversal. So these angles form a pattern of congruent and supplementary angles. So these angles, so this angle and this angle, they form a straight line, right? So if they form a straight line, they should equal 180, yes? Does 150 plus 30 give you 180? 150 plus 30 does give you 180. So there's a linear pair, there's a linear pair, there's a linear pair, there's a linear pair. So technically, there's 4 different linear pairs right there
I
at
swear I've
one
done this.
intersection.
We have.
So, notice, what, 30 and 30 are what kind of angle pair? Right there, that's what it's highlighted. They're vertical, right? What kind of angle pair is this 30 and that 30?
They're, congruent.
These
They're
two.
two.
Congruent.
What kind of pair are
Corresponding.
they?
Corresponding.
Corresponding, right? So we know corresponding angles are congruent. So, what kind of angle pair are these two?
Interior.
Alternate interior are congruent.
A two.
Let's see. So what about this one and this one?
That
They're
one,
alternate
exterior.
exterior. We know alternate exteriors are congruent. So by looking at the different things that we have, we can determine that all of those angles are the same. All the 30s are the same. And then we can look at it and we see that all of these 150s are the same. So notice we only have 2 angle measures in those 8, right? You're only ever going to have 2 different angle measures on a set of parallel lines of the transversal. Okay? So, let's look at this first one right here. So, if this one's 71, the one vertical to it should be 71. That's not hard to see.
Yeah.
Its corresponding angle should be 71. And if that angle is 71, its vertical angle should be 71. So notice the pattern, all of those are 71. So now, if that's 71, what should all of my remaining angles be?
109.
109.
Go King, go King, go King.
So I like to color code mine, just so it's easier for me to see. So like if I know this one's 35, that one that's vertical to it's 35, its corresponding is 35, and the corresponding vertical is 35.
Does this get harder?
Yeah.
When we do
Oh,
like
no,
half, like, how does it get
We're
harder?
gonna do algebra. I'm not gonna lie, it's not as simple as just looking at this. You gotta have algebra.
So like basically what we did, like, there's a little things, we gotta like set them equal to 180 and all that?
Yep.
Okay.
So all of those are 35, which means all of the other angles there
145.
are 145.
Oh,
So notice,
good.
all of the blues are the same, all of the pinks are the same. A blue plus a pink is always gonna equal what?
180.
180. So, if you look in there like 145, if we look at just these two right here real quick, what kind of angle pair are those two angles? They're a same side interior. Same side interior is always equal to 180. Same side exterior is always equal to 180. So, on number 3, it just gives you one angle measure. So I can find 4 of the angles with that. Those 4 are 42.
Don't you have to subtract 180 from 42?
Yes. And then we do.
Okay.
So 180 minus 42 will give you the other angle measure because remember all the pairs are linear pairs. So what's 180 minus 42?
Isn't that trash? 27. Oh, no.
No, it's 138.
That was not. So that means all the other angles are 138.
So X equals 138.
So there's no X there, so.
It wasn't X, it was 138. Are we doing the whole back page?
Nah, we want the whole front page.
Can you stop talking?
No.
Because you're honestly annoying, and I really don't like you.
Oh, hush. So if I'm looking at this, these are all 117s. And then all of these are going to be
63.
its supplement. Whatever the supplement of 117 is. Supplement means the two add to equal. So 180 minus 117.
63.
So all of the blues would be 63. And all of the pinks are 117. Calm down.
Jamal.
So if I look at the next one, right? So that square tells me that it's 90. So its vertical and corresponding are 90.
So they're all 90.
And then 180
No.
minus 90 is 90. So all of them are 90. Anytime you have a right angle like that on two lines intersecting, that means they're all the same.
No. Never mind. That was stupid.
Alrighty.
So all of those are 158.
2040.
And then how do I find the other angles that are still missing? 180 minus 158. Which gives you 20.
27. It's 27.
It's not that.
Come on.
180 minus 153. Oh,
Let me tell you, don't say it.
it's 22.
No,
Got it.
it's 22.
So,
Use that smart.
right there, that's the basics of the angles and their measures. You need to know that there's only 2 separate angle measures in there, and they're in there 4 times each. So if you want to do the back of that page, you can. It's just more practice of putting them in the right spot. But I'm gonna go ahead and move to page 21.
This is more my speed right here, so.
What? Okay, so when you have algebra in there. So when you have angle pairs that have algebraic expressions, you must determine if the angles are congruent or if they are supplementary. Okay? So if I'm looking at that picture, I like to highlight. So really, you only need one color because, you could use 2, but you really only need 1 because you could have a blank and then you could have a highlighted. So I'm going to highlight all the angles that will be the same as this 3x minus 3. So those 2 angles are the same. This is a corresponding angle. This is an alternate interior angle. So if I'm looking at just those 2 angles right there, those 2 angles, this one and this one, what kind of pair are those? They're alternate interior. So alternate interior, they're always congruent with alternate interior, but with my highlighting, I can also see that they're both pink, right? If they're both pink, that means they're the same. If 2 things are the same, that means they're equal. So if I want to solve for x there, I'm going to set those 2 measures equal to each other.
No. So, never mind.
So set them equal to each other, and then I have to solve for x. So there's no like terms to combine, so I'm going to do inverse operation. So I want to move all my x's to the left and my numbers to the right. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So now all my numbers are all my letters are on the left. So I have 3x minus 2x is x. Bring down the negative 3, bring down the 20.
X equals 23.
So then add 3 to both sides.
X equals 23.
I know.
So I found what x is. So if it's just asking for x, you can be done right there. But if it's not, you have to plug it back in. So what I mean by that is you're going to take 3 times 23 minus 3. What's 3 times 23 minus 3?
69 minus 66.
So this angle is 66 degrees.
Also,
So then with this one, 2 times 23 plus 20
66.
would give you
62.
66.
So what?
Those 2 angles should be the same, right? Because we said they're alternate interior, they're the same. So they both equal 66, so we did it right.
So what's the answer?
So with this one, it doesn't give you specific directions. So if it just told you to solve for x, you'd stop at x minus 23. If it wants you to solve for an angle, you'll plug it back in like I did with the blue.
On the bottom it says solve for x, then find the measures of both angles. So you
So you plug it back in, so
would
like,
label it
if
too?
you wanna find the measure of both angles here, I know that all the pinks are 66. And then,
All the blues are 60.
well, I'd already used blue, so I'm gonna go green.
Oh,
So all the greens would have to be 180 minus 66, which gives you 114. Okay, so on this next one, if I'm looking at those angles, the first thing I like to do is highlight, so I'm gonna highlight all the ones that would be the same. So first, I'm going to do the blue, this angle goes with that one, this angle goes with that one. So, one of the algebraic expressions is blue, but the other one is not. So that means that they are not the same, right?
Mhm.
If they're not the same color, then they're not equal to each other.
so you said you wouldn't want to eat.
But you set them equal to 180. Because in a set of parallel lines, remember a blue plus a pink is always going to equal 180. So those two right there, they have no relationship with each other. But basically, I could say that this one is x minus 997 right there, because it's blue, right? Now if I just look at those form a linear pair. So that's another way you can look at it. If there's no relationship, just rewrite it wherever it could go. So now, since I know that they are not equal, that means they equal 180. So I'll add them together, set them equal to 180. So x plus 15 plus x minus 97 equals 180, because they would form a linear pair. Okay, so combine like terms, x plus x is 2x. 15 minus 97,
83. Negative 83. Right?
and 2
Oh,
equals 180. So combine like terms on the left, just brought down the 180 on the right. So now I need to do inverse operations. So what am I going to do to both sides?
you're gonna add 82.
Add 82 to both sides. And I'll have 2x equals 262.
Yes, ma'am.
Divide by 2. What does x equal?
X equals
131.
131.
131. So that's what x equals. If we wanted to find all the angles, we'd have to plug it back in. So for the pink, I'd have to do 131 plus 15.
136.
So then, if I want to find the blue ones, I'm going to plug 131 into x minus 97. So 131 minus 97. So all of the blue should be 34. So when I add those two angle measures that I just found, they should equal what? Blue plus a pink should equal what?
180.
180. So to check that, I'm just gonna do 146 plus 34 should equal 180. And it does. Okay. So if I look at that first example, example 1, again, you can highlight, see if they're the same. If they're not, set them equal to 180. This angle right here is the same as this one. This, come up. This is the same as this. So are those two angles the same?
No, yes, just there.
Yes. What kind of angle pair are those? Alternate
Exterior.
exterior, which means they are congruent. So if you can remember the alternate exterior, interior, those rules, then you can do that. If not, color code it like I did. So since those are the same, I'll set them equal. So 3x minus 120 equals x. So since x is already by itself on the right-hand side, I'm just gonna move the 3x over to it. So what am I gonna do to both sides?
Minus,
What?
or subtract,
Subtract what?
3x.
Okay, so I subtract 3x, bring down the negative 120, and what's x minus 3x? So basically I'm saying 1
Negative 2x.
minus 3
Negative 2x.
is negative 2x. And then what do I do to both sides?
Divide by negative 2.
So what, 120 divided by 2? 60. Negative divided by negative made it positive. So I have x equals 60.
Achoo.
Bless you. So all of these, if I plug x back in, this angle would just be 60 degrees. If I plug x back in to check, 3 times 60 minus 120 would give me 60. So all of the pinks are 60. And then how can I find the other angle measure?
Minus it.
180.
180 minus 60 gives you 120. Okay, I'm gonna do my highlighting thing, so these two are the same. These two are the same. So are both my algebraic expressions highlighted? No. So what does that mean about their values? They're not the same, right? So that means that they add to equal 180, yes? Because technically, this angle and this angle are the same. So I could move that up and it could be x minus 10 right here. Or you could have moved down x plus 50 right here. So using rationalization, you know that if they're the same color, you can move them to the same spot.
And we don't have to solve it? We can do that?
No, you do have to solve for it.
Not a bad job, sport.
So then you can see that the blue and the orange make a linear pair, which means they equal 180. So that means
Good.
x plus 50 plus x minus 10 equals 180.
It's crazy.
All right.
They're the same answer. Now I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Still proud of you, Kate.
So x plus x gives you 2x. 50 minus 10 gives you 40. And that equals 180. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. So I have 2x equals 140. And what's 140 divided by 2?
70.
So x equals 70. And then to solve for my angles, I'm going to plug those values back in.
What did you say?
So for the blue, I have 70 plus 50 gives me 120. So all the blues would be 120. And all of the orange ones, 70 minus 10 gives you 60. So all of those would be 60. And then you can check it. 120 plus 60 should equal 180, and it does. Okay. So go ahead and flip over to page 22.
Yeah, 22 is fine.
No, I said, one for one. Freaking John. I heard really bad.
Okay, so if I highlight here, these two angles are the same, these two angles are the same. So what kind of pair do I have right there? They're alternate exterior, which means they are congruent. So they're both blue, that means they're the same. So to solve for x, I'm going to set them equal to each other. So 2x minus 20 equals x plus 26. So inverse operations, I'm going to move letters to the left, so I'm going to subtract x, and I'm going to add 20. So I'm doing it all at the same time this time. So all my letters are on the left, all my numbers are on the right now. So what's 2x minus x? 1x. And then what's 26 plus 20?
72.
46. So then, plug it back in. So 46 plus 26
72.
gives you 72. 2 times 46 minus 20
72.
gives you 72. So we did it right, and all the blues are 72. Then how can I solve for all the other ones?
180 minus 72.
What's that give you?
108.
All the others are 108.
That's right. I can?
Number 3.
Yeah. Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay.
So all of these angles are the same. What's that bottom right angle? If that little square is there, that means it equals what? 90. So what does this angle equal?
90.
What are they all equal?
90.
So I already know what all my angles equal. Now I just have to solve for x to do exactly what the the directions want you to do. So that means that 2x minus 80 has to equal 90. So add 80. 2x equals 170. Divide by 2. And x equals what?
Divided by 2, x equals blue.
Blue.
X equals 85.
Well, how is x equals 85?
I thought X was supposed to be 90.
Yeah,
X
No,
is
'cause
not 90,
it's
the
minus
angles are 90. So when I plug the x value back into that right there,
man.
to this right here, it should equal 90. So 2 times 85 minus 80, what does that give you?
90.
90.
I understand.
I don't. But it's okay.
There you go.
So x is not your angle measure unless x is the only thing there. Your angle measure is 2x minus 80. So when you find x, you gotta plug back in and see if it gives you the 90 you know it's supposed to. Okay, on this one, I could do this without highlighting, because what are those two angles? They form a linear pair. But if you need to highlight, here's the highlights. Notice they're not the same. They're not both highlighted. So that means that they are a linear pair, which equals 180. So x plus 20 plus x minus 15 equals 180. So what's x plus x? 20 minus 15?
5.
That equals 180. Huh? Yes, you will get a decimal.
87.5. Exact.
Uh-oh. Oh, we couldn't get decimals.
You can,
I ain't never said that, cause
you can pretty much get a negative, you can get a negative, you can get a decimal, as long as when you plug it back in, it gives you a positive value. If you get a negative and you plug it back in, it gives you a positive, you're good. If it doesn't, something went wrong. Because you can't have negative angle measures. But 175 divided by 2 does give you 87.5. So x is 87.5. Then I want to plug that back in. Find my values. So 87.5 minus 15. And 87.5 plus 20.
are we doing this whole page?
No.
How many were we doing?
I'm probably about to just go to the next page.
Really?
Okay, I want you to go down to try number 9 on the next page, all by yourself.
23?
On page 2, I want you to do number 9 all by yourself.
Why?
Because you're so smart, I want you to do it.
No, that's sarcastic, I'm not.
You're smart.
Oh, it's got a
But
Y.
What the-
I want to see if you can figure out how to do it.
It got a Y.
Hey, we got to about it.
I figured this out easy.
Oh!
It's really not as bad as you think it is, it's just a lot of work.
I always say
Oh,
you got
yeah,
this.
he's fly, dude. I wish I could be like, oh. Yeah, me too, man.
No cap.
Oh, okay, I think I know what I gotta do.
No, this is easy.
What?
So if I was finding all those angles on number 3, that's what they would be, 107.5 and 72.5. Most of the time, you're not gonna have any that have decimals in it, but it is possible. Most of the time, you're not going to. So, on the next page, I'm gonna go through some of them real quick, but then well, actually, I'm not gonna go real quick. Is it really only? 10:40?
Yeah, we've been flying through this stuff.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, we've been getting it. This is super easy. I can do this in my
They don't
sleep.
have Excel?
That's like, you got a decimal for the Y.
That's how we sit here and listen to music.
No.
Man, this is super easy.
Yeah, when you got this.
So-
Can we do a coloring page on this or something?
No.
I just sit here.
So I'm looking at page 23, so I'm
No,
gonna
I'm
skip
talking about
those
on
last
this.
6 right there, those, you can go back and do those later if you need extra practice. We may go back to them, highly doubt it, but, you know,
Hold on,
there's that.
I got a question. I got a question.
Actually, I wanna look at number 8. Look at number 8 on page 22 real quick.
Oh my gosh,
Look
that's
at number
hard.
8.
That's so
So if
hard.
I do my highlighting trick, what, hold on a second.
Yeah. You said you, I didn't think you were going
Can you do X and Y together?
No.
I mean,
Well, I'm sorry.
X first.
Oh, no.
Don't worry about the Y until you go to X. Okay, so all of those angles right there are 147, yes? All of those would be 147. I'm on page 22, number 8, I'm looking at that one. I know I said I was skipping it, but I wanna look at this one specifically. So if I know that angle measure is 147, can't I find the other angle measures? I can find these, right? How could I find it?
Just correct it from 180.
180 minus 147 gives you what?
33?
33. So that means all of these should equal 33.
What, you get done?
So since I know that that pink equals 33, instead of doing the whole 2x minus 23 plus 147 equals 180, I could just do 2x minus 23 equals 33. But you also could have done the other way, which is 2x minus 23 plus 147 equals 180. which is just a longer way to get to the same answer. It's not really longer, it's just one extra step. But, and you already did that one extra step when you solved for 30.
Wait, so,
So if I'm solving on that pink right there on number 8, I'd have to add 23 to both sides. So I'd have 2x equals 56. Divide by 2. And you get what? 28. 28.
so, at the end, we're supposed to have an x equals and a y equals.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, I got it.
What'd you correct?
Huh?
What'd you correct?
You got it wrong though.
17. Y equals 8.
See, I told you you were smart.
Good job.
Now flip on over to the back and try
Oh
some
my
of
god.
Which
those.
one's gonna be
Try
solved?
number 15.
Dude, that is easy.
That don't even make no sense.
Never mind, I lied.
Why are your teeth pulled up like that?
Okay, so looking at page 23, so on page 23, looking at number 1, if I do my little highlighting thing, those are the angles that are the same. So all of those angles equal what?
58.
58. So what kind of angle pair is the 58 and the 5x minus 2? Those are corresponding, right?
Yeah.
Corresponding angles are congruent. So if I want to solve, I'll set up equal. Because they're both pink, which means that they both equal the same thing. This just wants you to find the variables, the missing variables. So all you have to do on this one is solve for x. You don't actually have to fill in everything. So I have 5x minus 2 equals 58. Then what do I do both sides?
Plus 2.
Plus 2. So I have 5x equals 60. Then I'm going to divide by 5. So what does x equal?
12.
12. And again, you can check it if you want to. To check, all you have to do is plug it back in, do the 5x minus 2, and see if it gives you 58. So 5 times 12 minus 2 will give you 60 minus 2, which does equal 58. So if you want to make sure you did it right, just plug back in and check it. Does the highlighting part make sense to y'all? What I'm highlighting, why those are the same? Okay.
Wait,
Because if you don't understand why the highlighting part's making sense, then I need to make sure you understand why.
does x equal 34.25?
On the back,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know, I don't have to answer. Bring mine real quick. But